outer part.
The white part.
Okay.
The endosperm is the inner part, which is the white part. Okay? That is the part that you're left with after they do the factoring, right? Yes. That's the part you're left with after they do their processing.
This is the white, that's the white part? The
Yes.
endosperm?
And Brother Tony's saying he's calling it the gluten part. But not all grains have gluten. But in most grains.
But you don't fractionize or fragment the food.
Right. We're not supposed to fragment our food. We're supposed to eat it whole. Right, Sister Letty?
And the
If I
germ
worked
is
it that way, you
the,
would have made it that way.
can you say a couple of...
Do you see wheat germ?
Yes.
That's wheat germ. That's the germ. That's what germ looks like.
Right.
And that's very good itself.
Okay.
But we need all the parts together.
Okay. All right.
Because each part does something in the body. So
God made it that way.
let me give you an example of something that has three things. And if you take one of those out, okay, let's look at an egg.
A what?
An egg.
Egg.
You have a shell, right? You have the yolk, right? You have the white, right? Do you have an egg without one of those parts? No. Can it be made without one of those parts? No. But then man comes in and they do what they do with it. It's the same thing. Those things would not grow to be what they are if all three components were not combined. And God packaged it the way He designed for us to eat.
It's like corn. There's protein, fat, and carbohydrates.
That's right. Protein, fat, and carbohydrates, Sister Letty saying about the corn. When we mess with what God has made, we're going to have problems in the body. Is that understandable? Okay, now does anyone remember what homework for today, or for this week is? What'd you say? But what is the notes that I'm going to send you tonight? Please check your emails tomorrow. But do you remember what I said homework will be? Homework is the health nugget from April 3rd. And you guys, please read this stuff. And if you have the books, or go on the website, if I give a reference, please research it. Because this is important information. If you don't study this, you're kind of shortchanging yourself. And then when you're dealing with somebody, they might ask you a question that was in there, but you didn't read it, so you don't know the answer. Homework is from 4-3-10. Why do people why do people, especially Christians, get sick? This is a very important health nugget. This is probably one of the most important of all the health nuggets I've done. Key things to remember when teaching health reform. Did you guys study that one this week? I emailed it. Very important one. Right. But I'm saying this covers a lot of quotes why people get sick. And remember, what did we learn? Physical laws, natural laws. Physical and natural is the same thing, and what? Spiritual laws. So today we're going to be covering part 2 of health is spiritual. Let me read a few things. If you violate the natural laws, you are more inclined to violate the spiritual laws, and vice versa. Is that understandable? Because breaking the health law is equal to breaking the 10 Commandments. How many knew that? How many knew if you break the health laws, you are breaking the 10 Commandments? Does anybody know that? Okay. It's in Counsels on Diets and Foods, page 43, paragraph 3, and 44, paragraph 3. We are told the transgression of physical law is the transgression of God's law. It is just as much a sin to violate the laws of our being as it is to break one of the 10 Commandments. For we cannot do either without breaking God's law. Don't let anyone tell you that health is not spiritual. Don't let anyone tell you that this message does not matter. There are people in Adventism today, in present truth, we're saying this is not the message for today. This is part of the first angel's message. Can you get to the third without the first? No, you cannot. If you're not fearing God, if you're not giving glory to Him, you're going to receive the mark of the beast. It's an impossibility to disobey this and then get to heaven. It's not going to happen. Okay. How is health spiritual? Health is spiritual. That's what today's topic is. When you go outside of the will of God, it causes sickness and disease. Let's go to Psalms 119, verse 67. Psalms 119, verse 67. And I'll read this verse. When you guys get there, let me hear you say amen, please. Psalms 119, verse 67. Are we there? It says, before I was afflicted, I what? I went astray. If we're afflicted with disease, what does that mean? We went astray. From what? Either the physical law or the spiritual law. If we find ourselves following all the physical laws, which I'll tell you most of us are not, when we do the assessment on ourselves, we're going to see there's something we're breaking. And when you fix that something that you're doing that you shouldn't be, or that you're not doing that you should be, when you fix it, when you correct it, most cases the problem's going to go away. Okay, so in Adventism today, I'm going to talk about Adventism. We have a lot of problems with the women and men in the churches. We don't really see it in our church, but it's out there. When you become an Adventist, okay, like myself, and you're single and you want a man in your life, okay, we have few slim pickings in 2010. Because first of all, they have to be a Christian, right? But then what kind of Christian do they have to be? But what kind? What kind of faith of Christian? Seventh-day Adventist. And then, not, can we date just any Seventh-day Adventist? No, they have to believe what? Present truth. But just because they believe present truth, are you compatible with them always? No. So today, Seventh-day Adventists have slim pickings. So what do Seventh-day Adventists do? They go outside the faith to find themselves a mate. And then when they go outside of God's will, what happens? Sickness and disease come upon them. Because when you don't do the Lord's will and you go outside of His plan, you get afflicted. Before I was afflicted, I went astray. So you've got a lot of Adventists who married outside, but then they come back to the church. They have repented. These people are afflicted with all types of disease. I can't even begin to tell you. I've talked to a lot of Adventists who have a lot of problems, and I know where it stemmed from. Now, when they follow the laws of health, most of these people, their problems will go away by the grace of God. As a matter of fact, did you know there's 28 women to one man in today? Isn't that crazy? So instead of having faith, I may be single the rest of my life. I've been married already, but my husband passed, but I'm still young. It would be nice, but if it's not the Lord's will for me, that's okay. I am not going to go and be unequally yoked with anyone so that I can have a mate in my life and then bring 7 times worse onto myself. But people are doing that. So we have to be careful with those people. We have to meet them where they are. But if they come back to God's plan and they follow the laws of health, by the grace of God, there will be restoration of health. By the way, when we learn how to do one-on-one consultations and we get to the spiritual part, there will be some people who will open up to you, okay, about some things that they have done in their lives. There are going to be people who just naturally tell you about stuff in their lives that they've done. Stuff you don't even really want to hear. But they're going to open up to you. By no means are we at liberty to repeat anything that they say to us. Is that understandable? We're not to tell our spouses. We're not to tell our friends. We're not to tell our family. By no means are we at liberty to say it. It is to be strictly confidential between you, the person, and God only. And do know and realize that if you backbite and you gossip with your tongue, you can be cursed like Mary was. Health is spiritual. And don't let anybody tell you it's not. A lot of people are walking around with sickness and suffering today and suffer from depression because all they do is gossip.
Yes.
Did you know that? Yes. They may not get leprosy, but they can get depression. They can get back pain. They can get all kinds of problems. Do you guys remember why Miriam was struck with leprosy? We said it earlier, backbiting. Be very careful who you talk about and what you say. Children, be very careful who you talk about and what you say. Be careful who you criticize. Especially be careful if you speak against a man or a woman that has been called by God. And that would include Ellen White. We have to be careful who we talk about. It doesn't matter. Let's say the person has gone off and done wickedly. Okay? It doesn't matter how wicked that person was or how wicked they have become. God's people have no right going around gossiping about it, no matter how true it may be. Remember Philippians 4:8? Whatsoever things are true, pure, right? Is an evil report pure, even if it's true? No.
She said you don't have any right to peddle anything, even if it's true.
Right. We're told sometimes it may be necessary to discuss with some leaders so appropriate measures can be taken. It may even need to be brought before the church. But once it is dealt with, it needs to stay right there. There's no business for us to go out and be telling people what took place. First of all, there's a lot of Adventists who've left the faith because of dirt that goes on in the churches. Why would we tell them more dirt that's going on? It's just going to discourage them more. Second of all, we are counseled. We are not to tell people not of our faith the problems that go on in our church. They're never going to want to come to our churches. Now let me ask you guys a question. Did Saul do evil to David? What did he try to do to David? He tried to kill him. Was David at fault?
No.
No. Was Saul full of demons?
Yes.
Yeah, the Bible said that when David played the music, the wicked spirits came out of him. But what did David say he would not do?
He would not touch the anointed.
He would not touch the anointed. It doesn't matter how wicked a minister has become. It doesn't matter what vile stuff they do. We are not to touch the wicked. We'll touch them, the anointed, with our tongues. We are to pray for that person. And we are to have the attitude that David had. And if you think that a pastor or an elder or a member is doing wrong, you need to follow Matthew 18. Instead of discussing what you think they're doing wrong with everybody in the church, you need to go to that person one-on-one and bring it to them. Because if you don't, the cursings will be upon you. Gossiping is a serious thing, and health is spiritual. We got enough problems in the world. We don't need to bring that stuff to church. Is that understandable?
I understand that Dan is not included in the last tribe because of gossip.
Amen. Sister Letty just said here, Dan, which was one of the sons of Jacob, you will not find him in Revelation